Okay, we're going to call to order the February 2nd meeting of the Board of Education, and the first item up is approval of the agenda. Do we have any additions or any deletions, anybody? Okay.
Move approval. Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Got an agenda. Approval of the board minutes, and we have those already attached for January 25th meeting, so if you've had a chance to look over those.
I have. Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on approval of the minutes. Any questions about them?
I will not be voting on that
Okay.
item because I was not here that night.
Okay, Lisa got that noted. Anything else? Okay, all in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and we're good. Carries us to the no action portion of the meeting, and we have a legislative committee appointee consideration or something like that. Don will explain it.
This is from the North Carolina School Board Association. Legislative Committee is what the work that they're looking at. They have a position available as an at-large member on that committee for 2016-17, and we've sent the application, or attached it here. If you're interested in being a part of that, they need to have that information received by the 15th of February. Ms. Booth, is that the committee that you've been on? Yes, and we appreciate your service. Unfortunately, folks have to cycle off, and Ms. Booth is at that point, but she certainly put quite a bit of time in, and we greatly value that. But if any,
I was thinking this was something different. So this is your committee, and that you had told me you had to cycle off.
Yes.
Oh, I was thinking this was a different one.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't pay a lot of attention to it because I said, well, that's Ms. Booth's one.
Oh, no, I'd really be happy that someone from the board would apply for that.
Well, I would ask, is anybody interested? But if you want to think about it and get back to Don, what was that date again, Don?
15th of February. it has to be
15th of
submitted.
February. That's right around the corner.
not too
And I
far.
believe it had in there, did it not, a couple of dates that said just make sure you could commit to.
Right.
Wasn't it just 2 dates in
Yeah,
there?
June 16th and August
Right,
29th.
yeah. So it wasn't too many. So anybody thinking about it, or just
We
want to?
can get back to you.
Just keep thinking about it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let them know soon then, so that they can make sure it gets in on time. That all needs to be said about that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Wow, that carries us straight to closed session, or a request for it.
I move that we go into closed session pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A1 to prevent disclosure of confidential personnel files under General Statute 115C-321 and student records under General Statute 115C-402 and 20 U.S.C. 1232G.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to go in closed sessions. All approved, say aye. Aye. We're in closed session.
Get a piece of paper.
Okay.
Don't even have a
Ready?
committee now.
Okay, we're back out of closed session into open session, and the first item up is to approve the personnel agenda dated February 2nd that we've just discussed.
Move approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. If there's no more discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the personnel agenda is approved, and it takes us into the calendar, another discussion that, well, I think this is like, what, third time?
We've been through
Okay.
several different versions, and you've got attached the most recent. We had an opportunity to meet with our leadership team last week, principals and department heads, and they provided feedback that they had personally and also folks that they worked with, and we tried to incorporate those changes into the calendar. One of the things that we heard was that if you move down to the month of January, that because we're ending a semester, you have testing requirements, you have things that you're trying to get done, particularly at the high school level, and many other districts are looking at this as an option as well, is to do 2 teacher work days back to back to be able to end the semester and start the new semester. So we've done that. We've also reduced the number of required, or the teacher work days at the beginning in the month of August, and we've spread those out down in June to allow the high school folks to be able to be there. Some of the test scores and things don't even come back until the 15th or 16th of June, so there's just no way for them to get done with everything that they need to do. It seems that the middle and elementary prefer the teacher workdays at the beginning of the year, and the high school folks prefer them at the end of the year, and we've tried to meet them as far as that goes. We've also looked at our early release days, and you can see that the change here only has, I think, 2 early release days on November the 1st, which is actually the end of the first 9 weeks, and then we have an early release day during that shortened Christmas break, which will be December the 20th. And there was some question about could we make that December 20th 2 full weeks, adding the Monday and the Tuesday. There's just no way to do it given the start and ending date. We're at 180 days, and we've been advised by folks that we shouldn't go below 180. We're well beyond the hour requirement that we have, but we didn't want to come in with a calendar with less than 180 days. So again, you can see that we've got a work day in October, we've got one in February and March, and if we needed to use those as makeup days, we could. We're in a good place as far as our hour requirement goes, so we would tell the public that if we needed to have makeup days, they would occur in the order of October, February, and March. And then you can see that it's a combination of state holidays and annual leave days that we're required to put in. And this has just been a very difficult calendar to work with because of the legislative requirements that we have of our starting and ending dates.
Is there any talk about legislature looking at making that change on local control and letting us start earlier?
We keep hearing whispers and hope that we'll do it, and we'll put that out there again and see what we can do.
Yeah, I was at, well, you want to speak to it, Carolyn?
Yeah, we were at a meeting the other
Yeah.
night, and Terry and I both spoke about this for some state leaders as well as some that are running for state office, and we both stressed the importance of them looking at the way this was set up, and to either our biggest request was to put it as local control. Mm-hmm. And if they're not willing to do that, will they at least consider bending a little more on this start date? Because that seems to be the biggest hang-up, right, Dr. Phipps, is the start date. How much nicer it would be if we could start on August 22nd instead of the 29th. And and we talked to 5 or 6, maybe even more than that. None of them were opposed to that, so that I felt good about that. They all seemed to realize that they're putting state school districts, local school districts in a bad way. So I think it's going to take everybody pushing their representatives to consider it.
And yeah, and I've asked some other people to contact them as well. But like Carolyn was saying, we were speaking to current legislators that were there and to the others that were running, and it was so positive. It made me think, well, then why are we stuck with this calendar? Because it sounds like everybody I ask is in favor of local control. Then why don't we have local control? So, it makes you wonder, or you're hearing the whole story when you ask those questions.
And I think we've got political leaders in Raleigh that have not allowed the topic to go to the floor,
Right.
and that's one of the issues that we've got to try to resolve. But I want the board to know that we've listened to every piece of feedback. We've had this on the web. We've had faculty members, any employee that's responded, and we couldn't meet every request. We tried to look at those to build the best calendar we could, and although it's full of flaws because of the design limitations that we have, we've put out here something for you to consider and asking for your approval.
And right quick, you had asked me to talk to some people,
Right.
and I was noticing from I have the old version, those days have been moved, which was a concern.
That's right.
So I think most of what you have. The only comment that I got that I just wanted to add has nothing to do with moving a day on here, was that the teachers are saying if we're going to have these 5 work days in August prior to school, to please have the staff do as much of the mandatory training as possible during that time. And the second piece, well, you can read the notes here that was given to me by some teachers. They actually had a meeting about this somewhere, is that the early release days, we had mentioned that we would have an early release days so that the teachers would have time to work on things in the afternoon in their classrooms. But they say that's not really the case, that is fine. That's what they want to do. But could you communicate to the staff then to please let them do that? Because what they're saying is that most of the early release days are set up with workshops to attend in the afternoon, and they get pulled out of the classroom, so they don't get to do any of what we had asked them to do. So if that is in fact going on, can we just mention that to those departments and say, we have early release days for teachers to work in those classes, so let them be there and do it. Don't take them to a workshop. But other than that, it looks like you changed what you could.
And the one that's in March the 31st, we were looking at an early release day, and we were going to have a work day on the 17th. and the principal suggested that we move that down and get rid of the early release day. It gains us some hours, but it also gives a full teacher work day at the end of that grading period. So
Right.
we've tried to build that in to provide that support.
You don't have much wiggle room at all.
We don't. We really don't.
You just don't have
And I
any.
want to go on record by saying I applaud and I thank all the
Yeah.
teachers across the
Sure.
county that go above and beyond during their summer. And they're in their classrooms and in their schools trying to get this ready so they can hit the ground running. And so, so for those of you that think they don't really start back to the 22nd, probably 95% of the staffs across the county are starting long before that, and that's for no pay, but we really appreciate what they're doing to be ready for those kids.
So if there's no more questions about the calendar, you want to entertain a motion to approve that?
Please.
Need a motion, okay? Have a motion and a second. Any last questions? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed to this? Okay. Thanks, Don, for all the work, because I looked it over and I couldn't figure out how you put it together.
Thanks to Sarah for the many iterations
Sarah.
and everybody who's
Thank
helped us
you.
count dates and all that.
Thanks for the color key up there.
And I believe it was Butch that mentioned it at the last meeting, and the more I looked at it with the different colors, it really got me all confused. Resolution for local funding.
We have to take action on an item that we addressed during our
know,
September the
yeah.
30th meeting. And this issue involves the $315,000 that the commissioners were going to provide us to support the TA positions that we were going to cut due to budget concerns. When the state budget was released, our budget was not cut as significantly. It was cut, but not significantly. And it was decided at that time to communicate to the county commissioners that while we appreciate their generosity, we'd like to ask that the money not be allocated for that purpose, not to allocate those funds. As a result, we wrote a letter, it was delivered to the county manager on October the 5th, talked to him on Friday, and he said that they have found out that state law requires that our board take official action so that we satisfy the general statute regarding reduction of the prior approved funding. And basically, the commissioners said publicly, communicated to us that they were going to give us that $315,000, that everything's not like it should be legally until we take appropriate action formally to say that we acknowledge that and that we understand that that funding will not be coming our way. Again, we did a lot of that and expressed it in the letter, but we don't have a formal motion that was taken, and that's what I'm asking for tonight. This is not anything new. This is just to put closure for us and for them moving ahead.
So we're basically saying thank you very much, but no thank you.
Right.
Right.
We
Okay, so that's-
understand that the money's not going to be coming.
Right, so we just need a motion to the effect of thank you for the 315, but we're not going to use it and take it, so thank you.
Move approval.
Second.
Got that, Lisa? Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any last questions about that? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and we do thank them for what they're doing.
We do.
Very much.
We absolutely
very
do.
much.
But I thought the letter took care of everything.
I did. I told Don, I guess we were just joking. I said, I guess we can call back and say, you know what, we've changed our mind. We will take the money. Just go ahead and give it to us. But no, that was just a joke. That takes us to calendar, and I think we now mean our calendar, not the school calendar. And Lisa's passing one out to everybody. Lots of meetings. Anybody have any questions? These are the same ones we've already discussed, so shouldn't be anything new. Anybody have a question about when we're meeting again?
We want to stress to the public that our meeting dates obviously have changed to the first and third Tuesday. Work session at 5, board meeting at 5:30.
Okay, that's our regular meetings.
And I'd like to thank the board personally for that consideration and making that change. It helps me out a lot. Appreciate
Well,
it. Thank y'all.
Not a problem, and I want to thank the board for considering it too. That's the way I think a board should work. We all in this together, we should all help each other, so it works out great. So we'll be back, actually, let me make sure the board chairman knows when to come back. We'll be back on the 8th. Okay, a lot of meetings this month. The 8th at 5 o'clock is our next meeting. Board member updates? Would ask one question, I'm not too sure about where we stand. The Blue Cross Blue Shield issue that was about at the end of the year, I know you guys have been working on it. I would say, is it resolved? Are we still in the process of working, or
We're still
what do
in the
employees
process.
have to
We're
do?
just now receiving the exceptions that we requested over the Christmas break. We're starting to get answers as to whether or not they've been approved or disallowed. And then they're starting to adjust the bill so we can adjust it accordingly. But we're just now getting those in.
But you guys are, because remember we talked about some districts kind of said, it's not my issue.
No, we filed 150 individual
But we were handling it
exemptions.
for the teachers.
That is
And
correct.
how many?
150.
150.
And new ones are coming in because folks didn't quite check their paycheck over December because of the supplement and other things. So we're getting new exceptions for folks who saw their January premiums and realized what a dent those things. So some of that number is actually going up a little bit because people are now saying, wait a minute, they didn't pay attention before, but they
But
are
we're still
now.
working on it. That's
We
all.
are.
I just hadn't heard anybody else mention it.
Right.
So I didn't know
We are.
resolved it or was still in the
And
process
if,
of it.
I don't know if you've
Okay.
seen, but statewide, not just school employees, but just
Yes,
general
I have.
public who deal with Blue Cross Blue Shield have had major issues with premiums, and so it's kind of a systemic
Somebody
issue.
over there is in some trouble, I can tell you that.
Well, Mark and I went to Raleigh during the Christmas break, and
Yeah.
we had a couple of state officials that were with us. We finally received email back yesterday that basically said they couldn't do what we asked them to do, and that was to open the window back up to allow people to register if they had errors, or to allow us to submit one form. But by the time we got that correspondence, Mark had already submitted 150. So, anything that gets resolved, we're doing it manually with the paper trail, and then hoping that they'll approve what we have. So we just hope for better results next year.
Sorry having to go through all that stuff, but, it is what it is. Superintendent updates? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Mr.
I didn't hear you. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I will be attending the Board of Directors meeting on the 25th and the 26th of February. And hopefully I will be able to get some information on the control.
Okay.
And I'll bring it back to you when I return. It's going to be kind of hard because there's a lot going on with the legislators now. But I am going to get that in there some
Good.
kind of way.
And
I'll do that.
And I believe that. And we appreciate it. Okay. Anybody else? I'm sorry. Anybody else have anything? Okay, Don, superintendent update.
I'll be meeting with the county commissioners tomorrow at their retreat, and what they've asked me to do is to share with them any concerns that we've got as we do budget building, anything that will be significantly impacting what our request would be, and we're putting that together. And I just want to thank the community, the outreach that we reach out for in the solicitation of feedback and support over things like the strategic plan and the calendar. And we do those things not to burden anyone, but we feel like the decisions that we make, we want to make sure that the public feels like they've had a voice, and we try to do that. And I want to thank those who have taken the time to either fill out a survey or to make a phone call or to send a letter or whatever. All those things we take into consideration, and we feel like help us make a better decision. So we're very grateful for that. And then for the public to know that we started work on the capital budget process yesterday, and that will continue on for probably a couple of months. And then we will begin local current expense as soon as Lynn and I have some idea from the state where we've got some planning direction that we can move forward. So we're right in the middle of budget season, and it's an exciting and a very tumultuous time sometimes, and we just ask for prayers and patience as we go through the process.
It's really exciting. You said that.
It's an exciting time.
Okay, any other thing anybody needs to
I
add?
wanted to
Sure.
make a real quick comment. Everywhere I go, I hear about what a great job that the people that serve on Bright Futures is doing for the students in our school system all across the county. The needs that are being met, from a pair of tennis shoes to a coat to a bed, just all kinds of different things. And it's just to think that we were, a year ago, that was just getting started, and the difference that they have made for our students in Beaufort County. And I want to thank everybody that's involved with that. And they call on businesses and private individuals, and somebody that serves on that board said she had not been told no yet on everything she'd asked for. So just thank the community.
And they respond quickly.
Very quickly, yeah. They're doing
It's
a great
been
job.
Awesome. Anything else anybody needs to say? Would like to say? If not, I will entertain a motion to get out of here.
Move approval,
I was looking at you, Mac. There you go.
Second. I
Got a
can't do it
motion, a
without
second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're out.